Okay, so we are going to go through, guys. We're going to go through my little tips and tricks for Thresh. All right, boys and girls, that is what we're going to do. Strap in. Hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, so Twitch chat, say hi to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, come watch me on my Twitch stream. We're starting to get back into streaming every day. It's going really good. And more and more people are showing up every day. I'm enjoying it a lot. I've gotten into the groove in my full-time job in streaming. So, but anyway, guys, this is actually useful tips for Thresh. And I've made one for Leona and Nautilus. Go check them out if you haven't. They've been doing really good. And I think in general, like, people like them. So let me try and break it down for you. I have played a ridiculous amount of Thresh. I think Thresh is one of my favorite champions in the game. When you think of support, you think of Thresh. If someone tells you what is a support that has been around for almost forever and has basically been in every single meta, it's Thresh. He has one of the deepest player bases in the game. He's got an incredible variety of ways you can play him. And he's also one of the most flexible supports in the game. He's not a traditional support in that he heals and shields, but he provides so many insane, unique things that literally no other champion in the game provides, and that you can basically abuse to, you know, be incredibly annoying and incredibly powerful as a support. Anyway, sub to Raisins and sub to Harry. Yes, Pen says sub to Raisins, sub to Harry. If you don't, then you're not allowed to watch any more of these actually useful tips and tricks guides. All right, boys and girls, let's get into it. I have 8 tips on Thresh. This is just episode 1. I'm sure I could make a billion more on Thresh. He's a really deep champion. That was a Nautilus joke. And what I want to start with is the real simple stuff. We're going to go left to right. We're going to start with his Q. As you guys all know, Thresh's Q, he stands still, he throws a hook. Amazing. But there's a bunch of cool things you can learn about his Q. Things like where he faces, things like where his windup starts, and you can also abuse his skin. That's why I'm using this skin, FYI. That's why I'm using High Noon. It's kind of pay to win. Much like Nautilus Hook, Thresh Q has a lollipop effect. It's got a little bit of a little bit of a lollipop at the end, as you can see there. It's a pretty thin hook, as you can see, but if I do that just at the end, it actually still hits. So there's a little bit of a lollipop. So think of it like Nautilus Hook. The range is tiny bit longer than actually it looks, the animation. The second part of that is your hook comes out from the right side of you. If you can see here, Thresh's hook comes out of his right hand, so it's slightly to the right of his hitbox. So you can use that to sneak around creeps. That's essentially what I'm trying to get at. Point number 2 is the direction in which you face when you're hooking matters a lot. So as you can imagine, there's tons and tons of footage out there from Thresh and tips and tricks videos of people. You walk into someone, maybe you flay them, and then you hook the other target. That's like a normal Thresh combo that usually catches out 80 carries when you're 2v2 balling. However, it's not foolproof. So if you watch where I'm walking, when I turn to hook this Teemo, keep an eye on my character. As you see, just before you hook, it actually turns you around towards them. So it's not 100% foolproof and you can predict it, but it gives them much less time than if you just hook like this. So that's point number 2. You have a little bit of leeway if you turn and face another direction. There's also an interesting thing about skin, semi-pay to win. So if you notice, Thresh's High Noon skin looks very similar to his hook animation. And in some ways, it can actually mask your hook animation. There's a trick that you used to be able to do. There you go. So if you saw that, it's not as crazy as I Blitzcrank back in the day where his hook was just really invisible. But if you hook and then recall, it kind of just cuts your animation off and it's kind of awkward to see where you're hooking. And you can actually use this also just to walk up and do stuff like this. The animation is so crazy for his recall that it almost looks like you're about to hook. So you can bait people super hard by just walking up and doing stuff like this. And they'll often they'll try and dodge or they'll juke and then you can just flay their ass or something like that. I do that enough that it's actually a thing. This skin it's slightly pay to win. So that's point number 2. Abuse pay to win mechanics, give Riot money and you'll get more LP. Number 3 is, this is probably more of a beginner tip, but I see it so much in my Thresh coaching sessions that I can't not put this in. This is how Thresh's hook works. You throw it out, channel time, hits a target, tugs them twice. If you press Q after hitting a target, you can fly towards them. Okay, I can fly towards them at any point during that animation. However, what I notice with a lot of lower elo Thresh players is they do one of 2 things. Either they do this, so they waste the second tug, or they do it late. So they hook, they wait until the very end and then they go. Now there's 2 problems with what they're doing there. Number 1 is if you don't get the second tug, yoink, yoink, then you're wasting CC. Because if you notice, if I only give it 1 tug and then I move, often if they have Merc Treads, they can flash away. It's generally easier to close the gap for your 80 carry as well to deal damage if you hook twice. So my point is be consistent. Try and predict, you know, whether you need the CC or not and yank them closer to you. It's a really simple tip, but honestly, I see so many Threshes mess this up, waste their Q, screw around with their CC or fly super late. They activate their Q super late and they get dragged in with flash and dashes all the way into the enemy base and they're sitting in enemy fountain dying and they're like, bro, why did I do this? how did I end up here? What decisions did I make to get here? Another thing is just a little quick point. When you're tower diving, you don't need to activate Q. I know this is kind of an easy point, but you don't need to do what I just did. If you land a hook, just drag them out of range and then flay them. Especially when your teammates are tower diving. One thing you can do is you can go in, tank tower, and then just walk out. Play at your range. Don't commit melee. You don't need to always go in melee range. But again, small tip. I know it's a bit of a beginner tip, but we're gonna try and get through some more interesting tips now. Point number 4, you can actually drag people over walls as Thresh. Very thin walls like this one. If you get it right at the edge, there we go. You can drag people over walls. There are 6 walls in the map, I believe, that you can drag people over. You know, this wall, this wall, this wall, this wall. But essentially, there are 6 walls that you can drag people over. It's kind of funny when you hook someone over a wall and they're like, bruh, how the hell did that happen? Number 5, how broken Thresh's E is against dashes. Everyone should know that. Everyone should know that by now. If you play Thresh even once, or if you've played against Thresh, you'd be like, Thresh's E is really, really strong if used by a good Thresh player. It can stop Jarvan jumps. It can stop Tristana jumps. It can stop Lee Sin. It can stop every non-unstoppable dash in the game. Thresh absolutely destroys them if he knows how to play. But did you know that you can also stop it if you flay people towards you, and it's actually instant. So if you notice, if I try and flay towards the Teemo, this part of the flay, the part in front of me, is a lot slower. So sometimes you can still get knocked up by the Alistair combo, by the Jarvan combo, things like that. It is a lot faster, even if someone is dashing into your face, to just use the back of your flay. That's a guaranteed, it's an instantaneous point and click CC wherever the back of your flay is, right? So that is a very important trick to know. If you don't have time to cast your flay, you can wait until a Jarvan is EQing you and then flay him with a little tippy tip, just a tippy tip, and it'll still interrupt his combo. And it's actually better in some cases because now he's closer to you with no combo. So you just kill his ass. Anyway, that's point number 5. Point number 6 is you can lantern during Q after your Q hits an enemy. So simple stuff. If you're a good Thresh player, you'll know that this can be used in a million different ways to lantern people. Another thing you can do is you can flash. So you can cast this. You can cast lantern. If you want, you can also do stuff like, you know, you can flash. It's just good to know. Get it down. One of the most common places you'll catch people out is here. When you're here, you know, you hook someone, you go back, you lantern them in. And your AD carry comes over there and you collect your free 300 gold. Good job. Number 7. Number 7 is another real simple one, but there's a couple of nice little tricks to it. So number 7 is your lantern. Your lantern actually has an absolutely dummy thick hitbox. How do you abuse dummy thick hitbox? Well, you can actually use dummy thick lantern hitbox to stop people from walking around through here. There you go. It's really annoying to path around this thing. Like, excruciatingly painful. So yeah, you can fuck with people. If you don't need the lantern for movement or for shielding, you can really break someone's brain. Second thing is lantern you can TP on. So you guys know this one. This is nice and easy. Place your lantern, you can TP on it. Lee Sin can jump to it, Jax can jump to it, all these kind of things. It's a targetable thing on the ground. So you can abuse that however you like, but it's an interesting thing to note, especially if you're in a fight, you have no wards and your top lane is spam pinging for you to TP. Drop your lantern, just drop it anywhere. And another small beginner tip, again, I see a lot of souls being missed. So if you notice your passive, you need to collect your souls to, like, you know, get armor and ability power. Use your lanterns to collect souls. Souls that are really hard to get, or if you don't need your lantern cooldown in lane and there's like 3 or 4 souls clumped up, you could potentially use it. Obviously, don't use it if you're gonna need it in a fight or if the enemy can pressure you off the wave. Another good thing is for all the people out there who take lantern, AD carries, mid laners, I'm just gonna do a little public service announcement for all of you guys. If there are 70,000 souls on a minion wave that you just killed in the mid lane, and I am here ready to just, you know, cover you and make sure you can recall safely, and I throw my lantern on those souls, please, for the love of all that is holy in this good green earth, do not instantly take the lantern. Let the lantern land, collect my souls, and then click it so that I can actually get thank you. Pro tips from Thresh. All right. Another final point about Thresh's lantern is you can ward to stop Thresh's lantern. So when I throw a lantern down, people often put pink wards down, right? So the way you generally play around this as good Thresh players is, and I'll be honest, this is one of the things I get wrong on Thresh sometimes, is if you have an ally here that needs your lantern, do not throw the lantern like that. That is actually one of the mistakes a lot of Thresh players make. It is not a good lantern to do this. Number 1, the hitbox is screwy. Number 2, if there's a million different minions on top and you do this, yeah, he's gonna have a tough time clicking on that. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. What you should do is just put your lantern slightly outside of their range. Real simple stuff. And then I guess one small final point on that would be when you are warding enemy Thresh's lanterns, just as a side note, there is actually a guaranteed way to take lantern. If Timo here, my little buddy Timo here, is spam clicking right click right where he is, and I throw lantern just about there, I cannot ward it as the enemy team. If I am the enemy team and I put a pink there, he will take it even if the pink is directly on top. It is like a guaranteed lantern. It's really hard to stop that one. Sometimes when you pink lanterns and the Thresh and the AD carry or whoever he's lanterning play it properly, they will just take it. They will just still take the lantern no matter what. It's not a like 100% always reliable thing. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe. I'm going to be making as much YouTube content as I can for you guys, and probably could do another one. I could do another Thresh video. There's tons of different tips and tricks on him. Let me know what champions you guys want to see next. I could do one for every single support champ in the game. I'll try and do my best to give you some usable, practical tips for when you're playing Thresh. Hopefully you guys can win in preseason and then after preseason win in 2022. Anyway, that's it.